We're going to talk now about what motivates us, where do we get our inspiration, and what does 2021 look like? So you want to start, Jen?
Um, do I want to start? No, I'm just joking. Okay, yeah, I will start. So, what's next for me? I feel like right now I'm in a space of true self development, figuring out who I am. I'm on a whole journey right now, and really as far as what's next for me, I'm like in a space right now to where I don't know. Like I'll have to let you know when I know what's next for me. So that's what 2021 is going to be about for me, is figuring out what is my direction. I feel like you'll get to where you're going faster if you know where you're going. So I want to make sure that I create my vision board, which I do not have a vision board right now. Do you have a vision board?
I don't have a vision board, but I was it was an interview with a guy named Tim. I did a video with him, and he actually said that he had a vision party. Imagine that, a vision party. And I was just so impressed because he was
that would be cool for us, for our cousins.
Yes, a vision party. And he was saying how he would invite people, and he said it won't be a superficial thing like, oh, I want this car, I want this house, blah, blah, blah. He was saying that it has to be like structured, it has to be something that you can plan out and measure. And he said he invited people. There was like 50 people, he said, that in his group that came, and they had PowerPoint presentations. They had things.
Wow.
It was really I was like, whoa. Exactly. I was so impressed. And then one of my close friends, Candace, she was saying how she was a part of this group, and she was telling me like the end results of like people actually getting what they wanted done, and how people were starting businesses and writing books and doing a whole bunch of like amazing things. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. I don't know if I'm quite there as far as being so organized, but yeah,
so we can make it happen though.
Exactly. And having high expectations. I think that is probably one of my goals, is to set my expectations higher.
Right.
Because I was just having a conversation with my friend Ed, and he was telling me about, he saw a video of a woman making 100K, and she had expectations of finding a guy that made 100K or more. And the person she was talking to gave her advice to like settle for anybody, basically. And it was just so bad. It was like, I'm actually writing something on that right now, and it talks about feminism and the roles of women and what we're expected to settle for. So long story short, in 2021, I want to have higher expectations as far as what Rue Madame is going to be and what it's going to become. And now that you're a part of it, and we're going to do more videos that are more engaged in a specific area, it really gives me ideas of what our potential is. So what's your motivation? Like, what gets you up in the morning?
Well, definitely my kids, number one. I'm starting to add myself into that equation, which is nice. So basically, making sure that I'm more important to me, which the weird part is I don't know if I've ever really done that in my life at all, and up until now. Another thing that I'm trying to focus more on, even though like I'm looking at myself in the camera right now and I'm like, oh my God, I look so fat. But I'm trying not to worry about that stuff anymore. Like at the end of the day, what does that really do for my life? So I'm starting to try to think of different things in that terms of that, of, okay, yeah, I might look nice or something like that, but what does that really do for me at the end of the day? Or do for my legacy at the end of the day, So I'm trying to figure out like, well, what does my legacy look like? What does my time here on earth look like? How can I, leave behind a great impact that will help not only my kids, but other people as well. So that's
right, exactly.
right now?
Because I think we are very short-sighted, or we don't really look long-term, and we don't invest. I don't know if it's just our community or just our generation. I don't know what it is, but I'm like on the same page as far as thinking about not just our kids, but our grandkids and our great grandkids, and like really leaving like a nest egg for them, leaving pertinent information. Because when I look at our family, for example, and the only real like root we have left in our family is our grandmother.
Right.
And she has so many stories, like so many stories. And
Maybe
so
we should do a Zoom interview with her one day.
exactly.
Like, what advice does she have for us? You know,
yes.
that would be nice.
But like, imagine all the people we never got to talk to. You know what I mean? Like our grandfather, we were pretty young still before we get to this point. We're like, okay, now we're settled. We're adults now. We have those questions that we'd like to ask, but they're not here anymore. So I think just having a dialogue like this, our kids can be like, oh, that's what my mom thought. That's how my auntie thought. That's what was important to her at the time. And I think just that alone is very, very significant as far as legacy. And you know what I mean? It's not necessarily materialistic. It's not financial. It's just like, what was her morals?
Right.
What was her code of conduct? What motivated her? And I think that is even inspiring, especially from a mom to her daughter, or her to her granddaughter. So yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like another thing that motivates me too, and this is on a much deeper level, is like, just think about, this is so deep, so I'm sorry to go this deep, but think about all of the slaves who did not have a life before us. You know what I'm saying? We really need to appreciate our lives and where we are. Not just the slaves, but also like even people who went through Jim Crow and stuff. Like, would they be able to live in a white neighborhood? You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, would you be able to peacefully live in a white neighborhood? Or I shouldn't even say white neighborhood, suburb or something like that, in peace. It's like, you know, we've come a long way. Even though we have a long way to go, we have come a long way as a society. But you kind of have to live your life in a great way for them, because they didn't have a chance to do it. They sacrificed their lives and fought for the rights that we have today. So we should really appreciate it.
Yeah. And one of the highlights actually is I read a really phenomenal book by Jas Talk. It was one of the, because Rue Madame also has a book club. And I read that book. It was actually recommended by one of my patrons, Rathi. And it kind of just changed my whole perspective. I would advise anybody that really wants to get in touch with like their inner Blackness to read this book. It was phenomenal, and it followed generations from after the continent all the way to present day in America. And it kind of gave you two lenses of, what if we were one of the ones that stayed behind? What if we grew up in this context and we weren't one of the ones that got on a boat and were shipped across the ocean? And it was really well written. It was an intimate, personal kind of like gift to current generation. Like, wow, this is how far you've come. So if I was to advise anybody to read any book, it would be that one.
Yeah, I will definitely take that down.
And another question I want to ask you is, as far as 2021 is concerned, is there anything that you want to see as far as maybe politically or personally, like a change you want to see next year?
Honestly, the changes I want to see are just so huge that I don't think it'll all happen in a year. But the main change that I want to see is just, like I said, like I always say, it's in the Black community. Like, let's get it together. I don't know if it's us, it's, whatever is necessary to help get it together, let's get it together. There's a lot of different, that's a complicated one, and it's a huge subject, but that's like my main thing. It's like, I don't want to live I've been on this planet now for 32 years or whatever. And I don't want to go another 32 years and see us in the same spot.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. Like, I literally, as a kid, we used to drive around all different parts of Detroit, and to drive around those same parts of Detroit and they look exactly the same is just so depressing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, can we at least try to improve? I know that the city government is trying to like tear down some of those vandalized buildings and stuff, but it just almost feels like it's just nothing's happened fast enough,
And that brings us to a really important point, because I remember you talking about wanting to start a nonprofit. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm trying to still figure out the direction for it. And that's why I had told you previously, like, I feel like for me, my goals will be more so in a 5-year plan, because I want to be able to start a nonprofit and look more into how can I successfully gear it towards helping the African American community. I do have other causes within that I want to also help, like as far as just working to help abolish poverty in general. For no matter the race. I feel like African American issues are extremely important to me and very close to my heart, but so are parental issues as a mother. Like, at the end of the day, if I see a white child killed, that affects me in the same way it affects me to see a Black child killed. Or if I see a mother with a white child going through an autism issue, that affects me in the same way. So I feel like, like I have to center myself to say, okay, well, what are the issues that I can help with? Because at the end of the day, everyone has a contribution to make to society, and we can't help with everything, which
right, exactly.
But so I have to center myself to say, okay, well, what can I help with? So I can do my part. And that's why I'm like, okay, I have to create like a 5-year plan to make sure that I have to create a 5-year plan with a vision and a goal to say, this is the point that I want to be at in 5 years, and make sure that it happens. So that's where I'm at right now.
I think that's a really important step, because I don't think people even realize that they need to sit down and write it out. They need to really be intentional with it, because
right.
the biggest hurdle is just realizing or trying to put that vision, put the puzzles together. And once the puzzles are together, you're like, oh, okay, so this is the direction. So I'll just do that. So yeah, just saying that I need a 5-year plan is great. It's great. You were talking about going to Detroit and seeing neighborhoods that look exactly the same, as if nothing is changing or improving. And it's crazy that you say that, because I have far-fetched ideas, and they're just ideas.
Okay.
Because, for example, I remember going to Paris the first time just for a summer abroad program. And then I remember coming back and telling my mom, I'm going to go back. I want to live there, and that's going to be the place where I'm going to live. And, I didn't say start a family, all that, but I just said I'm going to go back, and that's where I'm going to live. And my mom, she took me seriously. She knew if I set myself up in my head, before I do anything, if it's in my head and I just gear towards that goal, I could accomplish it. And when I actually got here and I actually started a life here, she actually told me, like, yeah, I knew you were going to go back. I knew that was, it was kind of another full circle moment where I'm like, wow, she actually believed in me more than I believed myself at the time, because I was just talking, actually.
But that's beautiful to have that type of support. That's good.
Yeah. And so when you were talking about Detroit, and we grew up there, I was born there, but like I went to school in Southfield. I went to school in the suburbs of Detroit. And a part of me feels kind of detached from it a little bit because I was fortunate enough to go to a better school in high school. And, you know, like, I wouldn't call myself Detroit. You know what I mean? I'm Detroit technically since we were born there. But like, I moved out of town when I went to college, went to Chicago, lived there for a while. And in my adult life, I didn't live in Detroit as an adult. So I kind of feel like kind of detached, like now I live here, and Detroit is really just attached to my childhood. But I will have ideas like, what if I was to go back to Detroit and like buy a whole empty block, because those exist. And I would like start a tiny house community. I'm like into tiny houses, and it's kind of like an obsession now. And like minimal living and permaculture and like making your own food and recycling, all this nonsense. And I was thinking, why can't we just take abandoned land, abandoned houses, abandoned property, and like redo it, but live in a whole new type of way, not like in a traditional house with traditional brick and mortar, but like an alternative lifestyle in the middle of Detroit. Because I also read articles of how that's actually happening in certain parts of Detroit.
It
Nonprofit,
is.
Taking houses and having previously homeless people take that. And I was like, that's a big dream or big project.
Right. And that's pretty cool. Like it is actually happening. And there's so many great projects happening across Detroit. I mean, like I still go to those certain areas, and it's like it's a lot of it is still the same, you know. But no, there is still a lot of great movement happening. I just don't feel like it's happening fast enough. And there's a lot of different communities that are suffering across the United States, and it just affects me. So like, I'm not Detroit either, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it just affects you to see people like living, you know, in areas like that, and also the violence and stuff like that affects you too, especially as a mother, like hearing that somebody's son got killed or something like that. It was just crazy. You know?
And you know what? When I go back and I look at my old house and it's not there anymore. I went to Geneva.
I don't think any of the houses are there anymore. I'm not really sure if Grandma's house is there.
It's not there. And it's like, wow. Like if I could come back and start like a real down to earth project, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know. But are there any like personal New Year's resolutions? Like, oh, I wanna, I don't know, stop drinking coffee, or
no, that coffee will continue. I need it to like survive. I do want to lose weight. So that's one of my goals, is like, you know, I've had my 2 babies now. I think I'm done. So I want to go ahead and lose the baby weight and stuff. And so that's my main goal right now.
Yeah. For me, I have some really, oh my God, it's depressing even thinking about it. But I told my husband and I, we talked about it, and we're going to try to become vegetarian next year.
Oh my God, no. Lord. Okay, I mean, that's good. It's just still shocking. I'm sorry. But isn't Felicia vegetarian? Is Felicia still a vegetarian? I know she was at a certain point.
I don't know. We should like have her on one of these days and ask her. I remember she stopped being vegetarian or vegan, or maybe she's vegetarian now. I'm not sure. Okay. But yeah, but okay, what prompted this was my in-laws. They're very health conscious, and they have the habit of not eating meat at night. So for dinner, they don't eat meat. They'll just have a vegetarian meal. But during for lunch, they'll have meat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll just stick to fish, for example. Okay. And then my husband started to pick that up too, because I think his body kind of just is kind of weaning off meat, and he doesn't enjoy it as much as he used to. So I would eat meat, the kids would eat meat, and then John Paul at night would stop, he wouldn't eat meat. And I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. I feel so bad not like doing it with him and trying to like push my comfort zone, because I have a comfort zone and meat is definitely the comfort zone. So I'm like, okay, maybe next year I can attempt to just like go vegetarian altogether, because I am, like you said, self-improvement, challenge myself, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that and self-discipline. Oh my God.
Exactly.
You know, the crazy part about what you're saying is, yeah, we're trying to eat healthier too. So we've, for the most part, been eating like chicken breast and salad and that type of stuff. But when I go to the store, when I go to Tim Hortons to get my coffee, I'm like constantly hit with the donut advertisements. There's a whole candy section at the store. Like everywhere in the store, everywhere you turn, there's candy somewhere, or chocolate, or some chips, or something that's bad for you that you want, you know. But I'm getting better though. Like, and yesterday I walked through the mall and I smelled the Cinnabon smell and the Auntie Fanny's pretzels, and I did not buy any. So my self-discipline levels are getting better. The only thing I still have that's like really sweet is like coffees, and then I will have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like, but that's about it right now.
So yeah, that is one of the big ones for me. Yeah, and I think that's it for next year. And just to, I don't know, to be more creative and produce. I want to produce more than I consume, and that's going to be challenging.
You know what? I've been thinking about that too, because we are so in a consumerism. We're born to be consumers almost. Mm-hmm. And like consumerism is just a huge, like, pushed on you. And I'm the same way right now. I kind of feel like if I don't create, like, I'll go crazy, because I need to be able to put something out there, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And then the other thing is my fiance, he's going on a lock journey right now, and he wants me to join him in the lock journey.
Wow.
And I don't know if I'm ready. It's like right now I'm debating like to lock or not to lock my hair. You can take the locks down, which I've always thought you had to like shave your hair off.
Yeah, me too.
You know, but there is a way to take them out. Like I told him, I said, I don't know how long I could go. But then with the braids I just had in my hair, like I got to a point after about a good month, maybe a month and a week, I don't even know how long I had them in there. I got to a point where I just wanted to rip them out of my hair, because I'm like, I want my hair back, you know? So I don't know if I can handle the lock journey yet. So I'm like,
take your time. I really don't see it either. I don't see you being a lock person, but
I don't know. I'm not sure yet. So I guess we'll find out more in 2021.
Exactly.
Right.
So yeah, that's it for me. Do you have anything else you want to?
No, I feel like we talked about a lot. So that's all I got.
Okay, well, I'll see you next time with more with Jen and myself, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.